Each year, the seniors select one member of the faculty to share some heartfelt parting words with them. This year's seniors have selected Mr. Rob Hansen for that honor. Mr. Hansen is a Spanish teacher extraordinaire. Senior Hansen not only teaches Spanish, he calls on his Spanish students to provide tutorials for other Sibley students. He gives of his time to travel with students to Mexico to immerse them in the Spanish culture. And he assisted in the organization of the Maria fundraiser just a few weeks ago. Mr. Hansen cherishes the opportunity to teach Spanish, but more importantly, to be a positive influence on the lives of all students. Senior Hansen.
Superintendent, oh, excuse me. I've got to turn this on. Excuse me. Much better. Superintendent Longton, Principal Borgen, board members, administrators, colleagues, family, friends, class of 2005. You know, 2 years ago I gave a commencement address, and I looked to my son for inspiration. This year is no different. And it's logical for me to think about you and my son at the same time, because whether or not you realize it or not, in the past 6 years, I looked at the list, over half of you I've referred to as my kids when talking with others. The rest of you, it's been my misfortune not to have had you in one of my classes, to have had you on one of the teams that I coached, to have had you on one of the teams that I announced, to have you in a class that I subbed in, to be part of my Almas program, or just simply have known. However, if you're at the all-night party tonight and you see me, feel free to come up and introduce yourself. I'd like that. So, about a year and a half ago, a student came to me in my class, said, "Senor, do you care if I go to the bathroom?" Of course, in my classroom, if you were there, you would say, "¿Cómo? Yo no hablo inglés." I don't speak English, is what I said. Anyway, after the student said their phrase in Spanish to excuse himself, they went to the bathroom. I was kind of stuck in my mind with that expression. Did I care? Did I care if she went to the bathroom? This year, earlier in the year, a student also came up to me, had a writing assignment, and they came up to me and said, "Señor, ¿cómo se dice? How do you say I don't care in Spanish?" Well, immediately I thought to myself, well, there's different ways. You could say, "No me importa, me da igual, lo que sea." But then I thought to myself, you know, in Spanish, when you say any one of those expressions, it has a lot of emotion attached to it. It's very negative. And when I looked at what this student was writing, they didn't have any of that. They just wanted to know how to say, "I don't care." And I thought to myself, how did that happen? How is it that the word care has lost its meaning? I mean, think about it. When was the last time you said, "I don't care"? Maybe today, this morning, yesterday. We say it all the time. But think about it. Did you really mean it? Did you mean really that you said, when you said it, did you really mean you didn't care? Probably not. When's the last time that you said, "I care"? For some reason in our culture, to say, "I care about someone" seems sappy. In Spanish, that's cursi. Try to be bilingual a little bit. But seriously, how did that happen? Why? The only time we ever see the word care is in like the media or advertising. You see things like "handle with care," "care to give the very best," the Care Bears. We scare because we care. Care 11. You know, it's easy for that, but when's the last time we said, "I care"? My hope is that in your future, you bring emotion back to the word care. You bring care back into your lives, and you bring it into the things you do and the things you say. Now, where? First of all, I want you to care about your family. You know, oftentimes when you're young, you look at your family and you take them for granted. It happens when you're young. A lot of times you look at your families and you look at them and you say, They're the ones that are keeping me from doing the things or getting the things I think are necessary for my happiness. What you forget are the sacrifices all of these people have made so that you're here today. A lot of times you don't remember back when you were little, when you were running down the street and you fell and you skinned your knee and you went running back to one of your family members and they took care of you, they consoled you. You don't remember back when you were little and you got sick and you didn't even know what being sick was, but you knew it was terrible, you were frightened. Your family members stayed up with you all night to console you and be with you, and then go to work the next morning without any sleep. You don't remember all the times that they sacrificed their schedules so that they could take you to lessons, to take you to practice, to take you to the friend's house, to take you to parties. You don't realize how many times they sacrificed things so that you got the things that you thought you needed. A lot of you don't even realize in the past few nights when you're out going to your graduation parties, if you got home real late, I'm willing to bet that probably at least one of your family members was awake, waiting for you to get home. They probably didn't tell you, but whenever you're out late, somebody stays awake, just waiting for that door to open and close so they knew that you got home all right. I want you to care about your families. In my own life, about 10 years ago, Alzheimer's took my mother from me. Not physically, but it took her mind. 5 years ago, my mother lost her ability to speak. It took my son's chance to know his grandmother away. It took my ability to share with her this honor. I pray that I was able to tell her and convey to her before this disease hit that I cared for her. And that's what I want from you. And at this very moment, I'm going to ask something of you. This one little gesture, I want you to stand up right now. I want you to look all around this whole auditorium, and I want you to give them some applause. So please, stand. Give your families some applause. Okay. Thank you very much. You know, your families aren't always going to be there. They're not always going to be able to be there for you when you need them. And that's why we have friends. I want you to care about having friends. I very much hope that somewhere in this audience today you have a friend that you know that you can count on. When I was thinking about friendship, I went to the internet and I tried to find out definitions of what is a friend. And I came upon this one story, or one kind of poem, that said it very well. It said, "What are friends? They're people with whom you dare to be yourself. Your soul can be naked with them. They seem to ask of you to put on nothing, only to be what you are. They do not want you to be better or worse. You do not have to be on your guard. You can say what you think so long as it is genuinely you. They understand those contradictions in your nature that lead others to misjudge you. They understand. You do not have to be careful. You can abuse them, neglect them, and tolerate them. Best of all, you can keep still with them. It makes no matter. They like you. They understand. You can weep with them, sin with them, laugh with them, pray with them. Through it all and underneath, they see, know, and love you. Friends. What are friends? Just people with whom you dare to be yourself." That's by someone named C. Raymond Baran, or Barron. My hope is that you are able to be that type of a friend to someone else and have that type of friend with you. And I want to tell you, I want you to care about people you don't even know. Yes. People you don't even know. I'll tell you another little story. My father and mother were over at a local Perkins restaurant. And Alzheimer's also taken away my mother's ability to feed herself. Well, in the restaurant, my mom and dad were eating. The waitress came over and laid the check down on the table towards the end, and then left. A short time later, she came back. She picked up the check and she told my dad, "You know, those two ladies over there would like to pay for your meal." My dad looked over and said to the waitress, "You know, I'm almost positive I don't know who those ladies are." The waitress responded and said, "They don't know you either. But what they do know is they thought it was so cute the way you were taking care of your wife. When you reached over the table and you took her glasses and propped them back up on her nose when they started to slide down. When you brushed away the hair out of her eyes. Now, of course, my dad, being the Norwegian that he is, would have been pretty difficult for him, but he did accept. You know, that one little gesture, it made my dad's day. And when he told me about it, it made mine. Now, I'm not saying that you guys should all go out into restaurants and look for people you can pay for their meals for. What I am saying is that one small little gesture can make a difference to somebody. You can open a door for somebody. You can say please and thank you as much as you can. If you see somebody at the grocery store that's having trouble with their bag, you can lift it up and help them. You see somebody that's having trouble walking, give them an elbow. Little things. If you see somebody that did something nice, just go up to them and say, hey, that was really cool what you did. Little things like that can make a difference to somebody. I also want you to care about learning. Now, there's a former teacher at Henry Sibley that almost all of you know, Senor Nanamacher. By the way, he says hi. He's very proud of you. Senor Nanamacher, to me, is the most learned man that I know. It's not because of his degree. It's not because that he was a teacher. It's because every single time I see him, he tells me about some new word that he's learned in English, French, or Spanish. He's learned something about some different culture. He always is trying to learn something more. That's what I want from you. I want you to consider yourselves lifelong learners. I want you to care about your jobs. So often today in our culture, people don't care about jobs. A job is a job. Customer service has been lost. I want you to care about any job that you have and make it the best you can be. The best product, the best service. Know that in your future, you've got jobs ahead of you, but make each one of them the best. I also want you to care about listening. You know, conflicts that happen, almost always you can go back in time and look at the initial cause was a lack of communication, the lack of listening. I want you to be active listeners. It's not passive, it's active. Listen to what the words say. You don't have to believe them, but if you listen carefully, you'll be able to find out what is the truth. Finally, I want you to care about your faith. No matter what you have as your faith, realize that it is self-held. It's ever-evolving. If you learn and listen to others and their faith and convictions, it can only strengthen yours. So, I think the time has come that we look inside ourselves and our culture and figure out how we can solve some of our problems with care. The killing and the violence has to stop. Racism, hatred, discrimination, they have to stop. We need to look for care and bring care back into our society. And you know, I know that you know how to do it. In the past 4 years, you've raised tens of thousands of dollars through GOFA for many different charities. Through organizations in the school like Key Club, Student Council, Peer Helping. You've brought help to people in need. A couple of years ago, when one of our teachers passed away, you stood up and brought help to that family. This year, when Maria Fraley needed some help, you came out in numbers that have never been seen before, resources and help and support, because you cared. When I suffered personal tragedy this year, some of you came to my aid, you picked me up, you lifted up my chin and strengthened my heart. And I truly thank you. You do know what to do. You've showed it over and over again. And so, it's time for you to go out in the world and show all of them what we in District 197 have seen. And finally, I want you to know, I care about you. Everybody in this whole auditorium cares about you and is proud of you. Class of 2005, show the world what we already know, that you care. Cuídate, take care, cuídense.
Out back, just before commencement started, Mr. Hansen says to me, "Beth, how long is too long?" and I quoted some number. Mr. Hansen, when you speak, there is nothing that's too long. Thank you, thank you, thank you.